that it's welcome. So this is our July 2024 meeting of ANC 1C for Adams Morgan. Thank you for everyone that has joined. Calls meeting to order. Begin with a brief introduction of commissioners. I think we have, well, let's just start with, I just saw him at this event like a few minutes ago. Commissioner Michelson Horowitz will be here, I think, shortly. So let's just start with Commissioner Jones, if we can get him elevated. I think Commissioner Jones, if you can hear me, you might have to hit the accept button to become a panelist so we can get your audio and video. So I guess we'll just, oh, there we go. We'll start with you, brief introduction. Name, SMD. Commissioner Jones, can you hear me? Oh, let's get back to you. Commissioner, next in numerical order. Commissioner Shapiro, you're here, right? Yeah. Well, I see your screen, but I don't see a human being. Let's start with 127. How's that sound? Commissioner Foschini.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Commissioner Jake Falaskini, 1C07, which is essentially between 18th and 17th from Florida up to Columbia with a couple of zigs and zags in between. I like to call it the heart of Adams Morgan, and them's is fighting words.
All love here. Let's see. Commissioner, I'm just going to see who's on the screen. Commissioner Stevens, go ahead. Oh, Commissioner Laughlin, there you are. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Linda Laughlin, 1C06, our eastern side of Adams Morgan in Lanier Heights, although that's a debate if that's a neighborhood name. So there's my debate to you, Commissioner Falaskini.
Thanks. Commissioner Stevens.
Hello, this is Commissioner Margaret Stevens representing 1C05. We are the SMD that is closest to Rock Creek Park and Walter Pierce Park. And we have Fire Station 21.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Van Wy.
Hey, everybody. Commissioner Joe Van Wy, 1C04. We're the sort of northwest corner of the ANC, 18th Columbia, everything northwest of that, up Adams Mill and over to Calvert. We're the Pacific Northwest of the ANC.
I'm Peter Wood, 1C03, right in the middle, 18th to 19th, Biltmore to Wyoming. Commissioner Dixon.
Hi, my name is Lee Dixon. I represent Colorama Triangle, 1CO2, which is the space between Connecticut and Columbia.
Commissioner Jones, we'll go back to you.
Can you hear me?
We can. How you doing?
You can. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Jones. I represent the northeast corner of 16th Street. And I don't have anything outstanding. I did attend a breakfast that was held by Jubilee Housing, and got a chance to meet some other attendees who were instrumental and important, at least in my SMD. And I will use connections with them to get in touch with some of the tenants that are in the properties in my SMD. They didn't speak. Well, I take that back. They spoke not involved, but they did mention the fact, of course, that the development of the property at 18th Columbia Road, and I do intend to follow up with that.
Good to know. Thank you so much. Commissioner Shapiro, you're next.
Barney Shapiro, 1C08, which is the southeast corner of the ANC. I don't have anything to add today.
And looks like that's it for now. I think Commissioner Michelson Horowitz will be here, but he can introduce himself in the event that he shows up. Oh, he spoke just in time. Perfect. We'll just wait a moment. Commissioner Michelson Horowitz, introductions.
Hi, Daniel Michelson Horowitz, 1CO1. That's the southern end of the neighborhood from Wyoming down to Florida. And we're not doing announcements, or are we doing announcements? Just intros.
Just intro for now. We'll go through office reports and get back to SMD stuff. So on that chair report, I don't think that I have anything. I did not plan this out, so let me think really quickly. There's not a ton that's specifically. We're about to embark on a recess, move some dates around for this meeting because of holidays and things like that. So a lot going on, but I don't think there's anything imminently on the chair agenda, and we have a few weeks to kind of figure things out before we get back into the thick of things in September. So I'll pass it to how about our secretary's report, Commissioner Valskini.
Thanks. We have a bit of a staggered meeting schedule for this upcoming month, and I know that it's off a little bit on the website. So I just want to confirm with everyone here at this meeting that we pushed back all of our meetings this month by 1 week because of the July 4th holiday. So tonight is our ANC 1C meeting. Next week is our ABC and Public Safety Committee meeting. So that'll take place on July 17th at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
need me?
Details are online. Commissioner Shapiro, can you please mute yourself?
I'm trying to, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. And then the Planning, Zoning, and Transportation Committee meeting will take place on Wednesday, July 24th at 7 p.m. also on Zoom. And then the Public Services and the Environment Committee meeting will take place at 7 p.m. on Zoom on July 31st, the last day of the month. And then we will resume our normal meeting. No, actually, no, we will not. In August, the ANC recesses. And so our next ANC meeting will not take place until the beginning of September on Wednesday, September 4th at 7 p.m. also on Zoom. That's all I have.
Thanks, and I will point out one thing. On the front page of anc1c.org, there's a sidebar that will often show the upcoming meetings. It's usually great. It's like pre-programmed from people in the past that were in charge of that. I cannot figure out how to change it when we need to make one-off adjustments. Like Joomla is this platform that is used to update it, and I have gotten familiar with it, but not enough to make that one change. So I apologize, and I'll try to think of a way to make that clearer for this month because it's usually not an issue. But when it's posted on the other areas that we give notice on, it's accurate. But just that one specific sidebar is frustrating, and sorry about that. Treasurer's report, Commissioner Shapiro, what do you got for us? You're on mute.
As of 6/28, which was the last day of June for balances, we had 1679.90 in the bank. We have 2 outstanding checks that were written on July 1st of $502.50. That left us available funds of $927.90. We have uncollected Office of ANC allotments of $15,684.43. The Office of ANC requested a plethora of documents from us. We have supplied every single document they have asked for. So I know of no reason why they should not fully fund us.
Yeah, and we've also applied for 3 grants to get more money. So we potentially could be rich, but at the moment we're not, right?
No.
Good to know. All right, thanks for that. And I appreciate all your work. I know that you collected quite a bit of documents to inundate them with the evidence they need, plus more. So that
I thought inundating them would get them off of our backs. It failed.
we haven't failed yet, but it hasn't succeeded yet either. So we'll see. I think that was a good strategy. It's the best we can do, right?
So sorry, a quick question, but like after we gave them all the documents, do we have just no response from OANC, or they said we're still not?
The response we got is an acknowledgement that they received the documents.
Yeah. Been, I think, a lingering thing for multiple reasons for many months. Some of it was security fund related. I guess that could be a chair announcement I could have made. We had advocated in the past to get rid of the security fund requirement, which is this very small thing that every ANC has to do to show they're insured. It's a redundant practice because DC government's already insured, and it just created needless paperwork that did things like this, which is keep the well-deserved funds from getting to ANCs. We were successful in our advocacy, and the emergency legislation that was passed that was, in effect, puts the security fund out of existence. So in the longer term, that's good. In the shorter term, we could use that money. So we'll see how it goes. On that note, Commissioner Vice Chair, Commissioner Benoit, you have anything additional to share as Vice Chair?
Yeah, just one other flag. In addition to the change to the security fund, I just wanted to let folks know that I know earlier in the year we had expressed some frustration with OANC's newer reading of their grant policy. In addition to getting rid of the security fund, eventually, they're changing the how they're interpreting that grant policy, and ideally we'll be able to return to being a little bit more being able to fund more projects, not those that affect the whole ANC, but provide a benefit to the ANC. So if you're watching and interested in reaching out about a grant once we get money, I think we're very excited to see that change, or I am at least, because I was disappointed by their previous read of that. So that's another bit of good news from OANC.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is good that the interpretation will hopefully make it so that the community can be better served. And as you pointed out, I'll just reiterate, in the meantime, we're still not in a point to give grants. So let's just hold off, but hopefully at some point we'll be able to accept those applications. Commissioner Jones, you're going to say something.
I want to ask a question that has nothing to do with the report. And that is, back to the issue of 18th Columbia Road. Do we have a point person, as it were, to deal with Jubilee now, or they're just going to be towards like everybody else?
Just to understand the question, you asked if Jubilee Housing,
do we as a commission have a person designated to deal with Jubilee Housing as it has to do with 18th and Columbia Road?
I'm not sure I've heard of that happening for any issue before, where there's a point person designated for a specific issue. Though when there's development projects, I think the first person that's typically engaged with is whoever represents the SMD that it pertains to, which would be me in that case. But I'm not designated anything. I just happen to be that commissioner. So I hope that answers your question, although I guess it's kind of a no. But in any case, like commissioners are obviously free to engage with community members on different issues. So it's up to each individual commissioner's discretion. But formally, I don't think there's anything that is put into stone where it has to be done a certain way.
I see. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. All right, let's go to committee chair and SMD updates. Let's go the reverse order, which I guess is the regular order. Commissioner Michelson Horowitz, we'll start with you.
Hi. Well, I know we've got DCPS here to talk with us tonight, so thank you very much for being here. That's the big thing going on in my SMD. So looking forward to that. Nothing else to share. Thanks.
Commissioner Dixon, PZT, SMD.
PZT did not meet this past month, so I don't have any updates there. For my SMD, the only thing I have to report is discussions are underway with 7-Eleven corporate and the bid, Miriam's Kitchen, and other stakeholders. There was a meeting that we were not part of between, I think, the bid and 7-Eleven, where they came up with some solutions, which included a bright flashing light and noises being played out of a speaker, which to me and my constituents did not seem like a plausible solution. There also is a growing sentiment that it seems to be 7-Eleven is really pushing this off on the bid and the police to handle, when in fact it is really the 7-Eleven that needs to assume responsibility for this. And I agree with that completely. They are the ones who are causing the problems, and they should be the ones responsible for fixing it. Like, we shouldn't have to rely on the police constantly or the bid to solve this problem. Other than that, that is all I really have.
Thank you for that. And you said it better than I could have, but that's adjacent to the SMD I represent. So that's helpful context, and appreciate all of your work. I know it's been frustrating because getting into both government and corporate bureaucracy at the same time is not the most enjoyable task. Is 1CO3, there's a little bit of construction still going on at the project that we supported, and supported the modifications to the application for. at 1836, 1840 Calorama. Pretty much the entire building's gone except for the front facade, so it's going to be pretty big. I've talked to the neighbors about how it's going. They seem pretty content. What else? It's very hot. I don't know if that is the reason or a reason that might delay the starting of the bus priority project construction, which goes partially through 1CO3. I know that weather, like rain and things, and cold weather affects that. I don't think that it has begun yet. And maybe it's on time, but we just haven't been told a specific start date. We're just told after July 4th, roughly this week or next week was a target start date. So if anyone has more information, feel free to share, but that's the best of what I know. Addressing the comment in the chat, the building I was referring to in 1CO3 that's being renovated is 1836, 1840 Calorama Road, which was previously a school for the deaf, previously a school for Latino children, I believe, and is going to be housing. Let's see. I think that's it. We'll leave it there. June is very busy. July has been a bit less. I think people travel and there's less formal events that engage ANCs. So it's been a shift. 1C05, or no, sorry, 1C04, Commissioner Van Wy.
Skipping over the most important ANC, or SMD. Not a ton here, just one flag for folks. My understanding is construction has begun over at Walter Pierce Park. There's a helpful sign that has been put up there for anyone who is interested, but I've got it here so I can say to everyone on the Zoom, they're currently working on putting up signage for to commemorate the 8,000 folks who were once buried there, and are additionally going to be installing a freestanding restroom there at the park. Work was slated to begin about 2 days ago. I have not had a chance to get up there to see if the work has actually started. Hopefully that is not too disruptive to folks in the park, but once this is done, it should be a nice improvement to Walter Pierce. But that's everything that I have for my SMD.
Who has responsibility for these
Oh,
standards?
sorry, Commissioner Jones, I can't hear you. Could you repeat?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Who has responsibility for this restroom we can talk about?
Could you repeat that last part? It was a little bit muffled. Who has responsibility for what?
He was mentioning that there's a stand-up restroom that's going to be placed that's going to be placed in the park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has responsibility for maintaining it?
Good question.
They came and spoke to us about this a little while ago, and I can confirm that. But if anyone remembers off the top of their head, let me know. I believe it was
Parks, I think.
yeah, I think it's Parks. I don't think it's DGS. I think it's Parks, the Parks Department.
Right, but it's just a temporary bathroom installation. I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's similar to what may have been installed over in Columbia Heights at the plaza. So it looks like it's module. So it's like a temporary bathroom structure. Portaloo, yeah, the Portland Loo. But if you've seen the one in Columbia Heights on their plaza, I think it's supposed to be a similar setup.
That answer your question, Commissioner Jones?
No, my only concern, of course, they can be so easily abused. So I'm less inclined to. I have, trepidations about those kinds of units.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's not permanent infrastructure, so if there's issues, it can be adjusted, but we'll see, because people do need restrooms as well. That could hopefully alleviate some things. So a balancing act. Commissioner Stevens, thanks for your patience. Your turn.
No problem. Well, a bit of good unofficial news. So you didn't hear from me, but it looks like we might be getting another coffee house in the old Foxtrot location, and hopefully they're going to stick around for a while and so forth. And I also have Kate Burbank here as my guest to speak later about their efforts to clear out the food that was just simply left behind at the various Foxtrot locations. So I'm looking forward to that. But those are all the updates I have at the moment.
Well, that is good news. Well, I think, speaking for myself, I think the Foxtrot lesson revealed that we could press a bit more on the investment sources for some of these places to try to get a better picture of who's financially and socially invested in projects, to see if it ties in with Adams Morgan well-being, because venture capitalists that don't live here don't have the same investment as people that might. So it's hopefully good context. 1CO5, Commissioner Laughlin.
1CO6. A couple updates. I was able to meet with Kevin Harrison again from DDOT. A couple weeks ago, I think, because I was out for a couple weeks on vacation, so I was catching up. We did another walkthrough on Columbia Road. I know there's concerns from residents in the Calverton about having a drop-off pickup spot in front of their building because they don't really have a pull-in spot for traffic. And the alleyway is not really a great option. So Kevin and I sort of mapped out and looked at the corner of Quarry and Columbia Road to have sort of a no parking option put there. So Kevin and I are going to discuss it a bit more. It's not going to be part of this current phasing of what they're going to put in right now because it's too late to get that into their plans, but we're going to build it in. And if it's we discussed, like, if it doesn't seem to work for the community or the building, we can always pull it back and try something different. But it was a really encouraging discussion, and it'll be right next to where the sidewalk has a wheelchair accessible divot already. And we think it'll also help serve the festival center across the street and be a good location for sort of a pickup drop-off zone for, Ubers and Metro ride, the Metro ride and other things. So I haven't sent out information to many residents who live in the Calverton yet because I wanted to get more details, but we definitely had discussions. Commissioner Mickelson Horowitz, did you have a question about that? Or I see your hand up, so I didn't know.
No, I was simply gonna say I also met with Kevin and
Okay.
a hotel on my block about a similar issue, whether a commercial loading zone or a hotel parking zone would be helpful. And I don't think it's going to go into the design right now, but
Yeah.
similarly, he's willing to work with folks
Yeah.
later on down the road to get those installed if they are helpful.
Yeah, and yeah, he actually mentioned that exact thing to me. So I just want to give high praise to Kevin. Every time I've asked to meet, he's been there. So I really appreciate that from DDOT and from Kevin. Also, today was the first day of RAD Academy, which is sponsored by the Department of Health that I'm attending, and I'll be going back for second day. So I'm learning lots of great information. I have notes that I'll send out to the other commissioners, and happy to work with anybody in the commission or within my SMD about all the rat mitigation strategies, and also things you probably don't want to see but can't unsee after you've seen it. And then last thing, we had we didn't have a public service and environment committee meeting this month, but a couple months ago we had a group called DC Natives come in to discuss about pollination gardens. They are taking volunteers, and I signed up to be a volunteer, so I'm happy to work with residents and our ANC to learn more about how to get a native garden set up in your own yard. Ward 1 is one of the areas that they don't have a lot of participation from, partially because we don't have a lot of single family homes with yards, but there are some ways that we could introduce more pollination gardens into our neighborhood. And I'll throw the link into the chat, but they're taking more volunteers, and I'm happy to chat with people more about like how you could sign up to maybe have your yard turn into a pollination garden. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Valskini, you there? We can come back to you if we need.
No, I'm here. Apologies, my video feed is just not working very well tonight. But is my audio feed coming through okay?
So clear, you're good.
Okay, great. I will stay off video then and just and do an audio and try to reposition after I'm done here. But so ABC and Public Safety Committee is going to meet next Wednesday. So far, we have actually not received a single liquor license or cannabis application within our ANC boundaries for the past month, which is, I think, the first time in like 3 years that's happened. So we will have hopefully a very quick meeting next Wednesday where we just invite a precinct officer from 303 to go over, public safety, crime update, After that, I don't think that we'll have anything as far as ABC to do. But if anything comes up, we might just want to quickly add it to the agenda. So just a heads up on that. And for in my SMD things, there's just still so much construction happening, and just really appreciate everyone's.
And that is a cliffhanger. We'll wait to see if he comes back. But for the time being, we lost Commissioner Falaskini. Uh, Commissioner Shapiro, you want to fill in while we're waiting? Oh, he's right. He's already back. Let's just give him a second.
Who did you call him?
Commissioner Falaskini, you're back. We missed your punchline.
What's going on?
Commissioner
No,
Falaskini is slow, so we're just waiting him to join again.
I'm so sorry. My internet connection just went out. So lots of construction still happening in the SMD. And there's still a lot going on. Also, road work along Colorama, along Ontario, down on the southern border, on Florida, and all of that is for the electrical station upgrades that are happening. And then several new projects that are happening along Champlain Street. So just appreciate everyone's patience as these things develop. And if anyone has any issues, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks so much. Commissioner Shapiro, SMD updates if you have one.
We go. I don't have anything specific on the on my SMD. We are still having the issue of the intersection at I'm zoning out at not at Euclid, Colorama, where at Colorama and Champlain, where we have two major construction things going on, continues to be a safety issue. They are trying, but it is a demonstrable instance where if the city could implement AI to hold up on permits because of that issue, it might be something for a licensing or Department of Buildings to look at in the future, because this clearly both major construction permits for that intersection should not have been issued simultaneously. It's just too much. That's the only thing we have.
From personal experience walking through the intersection many times a day, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They do help out, by the way. The construction company does post someone around school time, but that's just around school time. So it's clearly something that the council or the administration needs to deal with in the future.
Noted. Thank you for that. Commissioner Jones, you said you had done SMD update before, but do you want to add anything at this time?
Unfortunately, my sound is not that clear, so if you speak up just a little bit.
Right.
I wanted to mention that I'm thinking of it now, but it seemingly light years ago. There was a meeting at the church, Goodwill Baptist Church, where KCA held a meeting. And they took up the issue of I mentioned this to you in some of my messages. They took up the issue of the bus route, and there was a display by Jubilee Housing there as well. But as I've mentioned in some of my texts, that KCA took a very hard absolute position against the bus rerouting along in Adams Morgan. And they were threatening to sue the city if it went forward with it. And interestingly, and I've mentioned this too, there was a vote taken on it, and there was a vote absolutely against it. Everybody in the room voted against it. But there was considerable discussion on it. I think it was rather jaded, but it was still discussion. And I just thought, I wanted to just bring it to the attention of the full commission.
Yeah, thank you for that. I know that the views of KCA leadership have been brought to the commission on many occasions over the course of several years on that issue, and they're of course free to speak for themselves. Personally speaking, as one of the people who spoke to the mother of a victim of reckless driving there, I find it a bit insulting to threaten to sue as opposed to being proactively trying to prevent more deaths. But associations are free to organize and discuss as they will. So I appreciate you being the liaison in that case and relaying that information. I thought of two things I want to actually, I should have said this in the chair update, but I think they are important. I totally forgot. One, because someone mentioned the substation updates at Pepco at Columbia Heights. Actually, I got to speak with some Pepco representatives, including Trevoris, who is wonderful, and basically raised the issue of the mural being gone. And there's some community organization, at least one or two, that is very active, and I've initiated a conversation with them through email, but haven't actually had a conversation yet to try to see where we could work together potentially, at least in my individual commissioner capacity, if not as a commission, because that mural that's on the building has been there, the Unity mural, for some time. We really want to make sure that it is preserved in a way that is both fair and, I guess, reasonable considering the circumstances. That's one thing. And then another, this is right on the outer edge of Adams Morgan, but the Taft Bridge, we have previously passed support for getting barriers put on that bridge. There had been previous deaths on that bridge by suicide. The 5th of July, I think another one happened, and it's not really an update anyone wants to hear or give. And there's been a lot of push, especially from people that have the authority to get those protective barriers put into place. So it's not a worst case scenario in terms of the bureaucratic, I guess, work that needs to be done to get it going. I think it's in the 2025 budget to get that paid for, but it hasn't happened and someone died, which is the opposite of what we want to have. So I don't really have a concise or convenient conclusion to that thought, but it's something I think is worth raising because it's an issue that we've collectively pushed for, and yeah, you hate to see it deeply. That said, we'll shift gears a little bit. Next on the agenda, we have a couple of presentations from outside parties. First is an update from the DC public school system on Oyster Adams construction, another item that we've discussed extensively in the past. Looking forward to hearing. If you're here for that, please raise your hand and we'll get you promoted. One person, two, okay, got it. And I think you should be able to share your screen, but I'm going to download the presentation I claimed to have downloaded earlier, but forgot to do it just in case. All right, welcome. I don't know who's going to lead, but the floor is yours. Glad to have you here.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
How you
Can you
doing?
hear me?
We can.
Okay. Great. Let me see if I can share my screen. I think we should be good. Hey.
Perfect. Looks like that works.
Okay. I think we're good to go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Pegram. I am a project specialist for DCPS and new to the DCPS team. I'm excited to be a part of today's meeting. Just kind of wanted to join to give a quick overview of where we are in the project, where we are in construction, as well as address some of the community concerns. So we can get started. For those who are not familiar with the Oyster Adams Modernization Project, located at 2020 19th Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. This is a historic interior renovation and a new addition project to accommodate future students, as well as new additional programs that we are incorporating within the school. Our project build to capacity is for 425 students. And our swing location for Adams will be at the Myers Elementary School until spring of 2025. Our project team, I believe some of our project team members are here also on this call. DGS project manager, Dan Nevat and Crystal West. They will be the POC for DGS. Our design build team, Studio MB and Consigli Construction and Keystone as well as the POC for DCPS, which will be me. So for construction updates, I'm going to allow Rachel Flynn, who is the PM, construction PM on this project, to kind of give an update on where we are in construction, as well as kind of give an update on milestones for the next couple of months. So Rachel, are you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So as you guys all saw last month, our tower crane went up in Adams Morgan. Helped us with future deliveries for the project, getting it in and out of the site. We are undergoing our foundations for the new gym addition right now, as well as demoing and adding in the structural steel for the 4th level. We are also, some items that you can't see within the building, we are building out in the basement area. We are actually underpinning, just wrapped up underpinning the existing foundations. And we're now excavating out some of the dirt foundation area to build in that new finished space for the school. Upcoming milestones, you'll start to see over the summer that dormer can continue to be finished in the back there. And then in the front, you'll start to see us come up with some of the steel for the addition in the front corner there. And then in the inside, things you can't see will be building new classrooms, bathrooms, corridors, offices inside the building, as well as finishing out that basement area. So just to kind of give you an idea, we're just trying to get out of the ground right now and start the steel skeleton when you guys come back in September for your meetings. I'm sure we'll give another update, but you'll start to see us be out of the ground there, and hopefully to have steel complete with the addition in October and start to put on the facade elements.
Thank you, Rachel. So our favorite topic, community concerns. I know there has been quite a few concerns regarding this project. Some are listed on the screen on 19th Street, the alley, as well as Columbia Road, morning truck deliveries before 9 a.m., property damage adjacent to the public alley, idling, public parking along the residential side of 19th Street, as well as noise and vibration concerns as well from the community. So we as a team are actively working together to mitigate some of these issues. Consigli Construction has someone positioned on Columbia Road each morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and we'll be making sure there are no trucks idling in the alley until the permitted hours, which is after 9 a.m. and all truck deliveries after 9 a.m. will be assisted with a flagger. Additionally, our contractor will be enacting all fines to subcontractors who are in violation of the delivery hours. And lastly, our GC has requested that all of our subcontractors take their lunch in the building or on site to avoid crowding the site walls of the public alley and Columbia Road. And again, they will be fined if there is a violation of that. So that's one measure that we're taking. Another measure that we're also taking is putting noise and vibration monitoring stations on site so that we can ensure no work is done out of code or out of compliance. I've also met with John DeBoer, and that was a really great meeting, building manager of the Oakland condominium, to address property repairs. And so we agree that we will address the repairs at the end of the project versus now. And he's okay with that. So we are working actively on that as well. And we also, DGS and DCPS, we met with DDOT in June to address the 24-hour no parking restrictions. And we are currently updating our traffic control plan. And we've submitted that to DDOT to update the 24-hour no parking restriction to 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. no parking restriction to give parking back to the residents. So we are trying our best. We are, asking you guys to just be patient with us, and we apologize for obviously any inconvenience. I just wanted to introduce myself, but also address some of these concerns and let you guys know that we hear you and we're doing our best. Questions or anything like that?
Thank you so much for that update. I know it's been a lot of work. I have one question from Commissioner Michelson Horowitz first.
Oh, yeah. Hi, thank you so much for being here and for the presentation. You know, I do get a lot of emails from constituents, and I'm sharing them with you as I receive them. So I want to make sure that you know as you got here, the regular updates on the website, so I can point folks to that. And I hope this presentation will be up there.
Yes.
And I wanted to add, there's been a couple of notes about site security. That's been another concern. And then of course the parking has been an issue on 19th. I applaud you looking at revising that to the working hours for the site, and giving back that parking on nights and weekends. Obviously, we want your contractors to have access to that. We want there to be enforcement of the restrictions. But if folks can responsibly move their cars by 7 a.m. or have that space on weekends, that'd be great. And yeah, the note about the property at the Oakland, is there damage that you have confirmed as being caused by some of the construction trucks?
Yes, we have confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate taking responsibility for that. Obviously we neighbors are important to the success of the project. And yeah, that's all the questions I have right now, but I will let you know if I think of any more right now.
Thanks so much. I have a weird question. The answer might be that you're not prepared to answer it, so that's fine. But if I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing some of the opposition to the Columbia Bus Priority Project saying that this particular project would have heavy construction equipment that would impede the ability, that would make it unsafe. Is there any, like, do you know what I'm talking about? Is there any?
The Columbia Road DDOT project. I am still looking into it, but from my understanding, it should not impact this project. But that's something I'm still looking into. And I will definitely, bring it to your attention if there is an impact, obviously.
We appreciate that. That was my understanding as well. It didn't seem to be directly related.
I don't think it impacts this project.
All right, thanks so much. Commissioners, any other questions? Thanks again for being here. Oh, Commissioner.
We got a few more.
Yeah.
Jake, go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry. I don't know why, but the raise hand function just isn't showing up in the bottom anymore for me. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for the presentation. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate you're trying to mitigate, these concerns for the neighborhood. It's always tough, but we know that these projects need to go forward and cities grow and needs change. And it's important that we're able to serve our students and our children in the neighborhood too. And that's ultimately what this project is for. And just applaud everything that you're doing to try to minimize the impacts to the community, but still provide a really valued service that everyone is going to really appreciate when it's done. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
One more note. I know that you've already agreed to 8 a.m. start on Saturdays. Is that correct, or is that is there still work beginning starting at 8 a.m. Saturdays?
Rachel, can you confirm that?
So it's 7 a.m. construction start on Saturdays, but we still have the no delivery before 9 a.m.
Okay. Thank you. And then in terms of timelines, is there a time when some of the heaviest vehicles will no longer be running through that public alley now that the crane is up?
Yep. So definitely a heavy portion of this summer is going to be focused on those foundations and the steel. That's probably our peak delivery in terms of moving soil in and out of the site, which is kind of the only way to access that is that back alley. Once we're done with the major structural part of the project, it would really just be limited to small deliveries and dumpster trucks for the most part.
And are you on track overall with the project to finish well ahead of the opening of the 26 school year?
Yes, we are on track for summer of 2025 turnover.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Anything else, Commissioner?
I will be uploading, just an FYI, this presentation to the DCPS facilities website, and it has my email address. So feel free to email me if you have any other additional questions.
And has the website link been fixed from the main landing page for DCPS renovations? Because it led to an old website that was no longer being updated.
It should be fixed. I'm going to check
Okay.
as soon as I get off this phone call, but I think
Sure.
we're good to go.
Great, thank you.
Not a problem.
Thanks again. Appreciate you taking the time tonight. Hope you have a good evening.
Thank you.
So next on our agenda is a presentation from representatives of Food Rescue US and Food Waste in Adams Morgan. And as we're waiting for that, the link for one of the consent agenda items, which I'm going to soon hereafter suggest we take off of it, the consent agenda, I think it's fixed, but I'm not sure what's happening. Hi, Kate. It looks like you're on mute, but we're glad to have you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Commissioner Stevens, for inviting me to attend this meeting. I actually have shared office space at the Festival Center, which makes me very partial to Adams Morgan. I love being over there. Commissioner Stevens reached out to me regarding the Foxtrot situation because she had heard that my nonprofit Food Rescue US had gotten into the DuPont Circle Foxtrot in order to clear out food that was sitting there. It was took 8 people 4 hours one day and 3 hours the next day. It was an amazing amount of food, probably 300 pints of ice cream. It was really something else, but we were lucky to have snuck in there. We just got the attention of the building owners way before things were into bankruptcy, et cetera. And so there was hope that we were going to be able to do that to the remaining 9 in the DMV. So that's how we first got connected. The update is that I guess Christ House has been able to get the bulk of the food. I did reach out to the person that I was directed to see if there's additional food that we can clear out. But let me backtrack a little bit. Food Rescue US is an app that allows volunteers to claim food rescues. We match paired between a business donor who doesn't want to waste their food and a nonprofit down the street that could use the food. In Adams Morgan proper, we work with Christ House, we work with Potter's House, Huff House, and do a little with Jubilee Housing. So we are familiar. I don't have a lot of food donors in Adams Morgan, which is perhaps something that when you might let folks know, especially as we're all trying to be concerned about rats and food waste. But so yes, we are up and running in DC, all 8 wards. It's been around since 2016. We have probably 300 active volunteers at any time who are out there doing these food rescues, which is tremendous. 12 million pounds of foods have been kept from landfill. So we are eager to have you all know that this is an opportunity for volunteers to support us, to join the efforts. I know of at least these 4 nonprofits or agencies that can benefit from food. But if there are others in the Adams Morgan area within your jurisdiction that I might not know about, it's a free service. There's no cost to either the food donor or the receiving agency. It's just a matchmaking thing that we do so that we can, get fresh, healthy food. It's we don't do a lot of grocery stores. It's not canned food. It's prepared food from the World Bank and from National Geographic and various corporate cafeterias, the DuPont Circle Farmers Market. We're there every Sunday. So mostly I appreciate this opportunity. I'm trying to talk and put something in the chat. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to make sure that you all know that Food Rescue US is a service to the community. And again, I have been working with my commissioner, Vincent Slatt, over here in DuPont Circle. A lot of talk about the rats and how we can kind of encourage businesses to donate food so that, it does have an impact. So if you have, I think of the Harris Teeter, which I don't know if they're being gleaned by the Capital Area Food Bank or what, but We're a very small team, but we manage with the app to get a lot of work done. So if you have businesses that you can refer to me, okay, I'm going to put my, there we go. Kate at food, sorry. That's my email address. And I am at the festival center during the week. If anybody's ever wants to stop in and kind of hear more about the work in person. Yeah, that's basically my pitch. And I look forward to continuing to go a little bit deeper in the Adams Morgan area.
Yeah, thanks so much for all of that. It's always helpful and interesting for as a commission to be able to kind of like find all the different entities that are active and try to get people connected where possible. So that's great.
Good. Thank you.
Questions, comments from commissioners? Commissioner Jones.
Do you have a process by which you designate restaurants and go to them and make arrangements with them?
Well, we tend not to go to, how do I say, fine dining. Most of the restaurants, people assume that restaurants are where we get the bulk of our food, but in fact, they tend to have limited food waste. I mean, we all scrape food and waste it, but it's really just word of mouth. At the streets market, I think that is a place I'm trying to get into. I go in there and I talk to them and they say, we don't waste food, or I just can't catch the right person's attention. So it's really about reaching the right person. Yeah, any of restaurants like, for example, We the Pizza over on U Street is an example. Every night they have pizza out to reheat and sell a slice. And so they're a perfect example. They just package that up in a tin pan and we pick it up in the morning. So another quick thing is we do tend not to go at night at 10 o'clock because we have no warehousing. We go directly. So we pick up and drop off. So it's always the next morning when we'd like to, or during pretty much work hours or weekends. So yeah, it's, anybody who has a tip about a place that they think within Adams Morgan might want to thank you. I'd love to have an intro to streets, has a tip. I'm happy to follow it up. You can just refer to, let them know that I would be reaching out. And it's just a word of mouth. We do have a good website. I should put that up as well. It's foodrescue.us. And it's a national nonprofit. I run the DC Northern Virginia location. So we have our own web page within that. So
thanks so much. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm thinking that because we have such a concentration of restaurants in Adams Morgan, that appealing to restaurants individually might be a problem, but if you appeal with them collectively, you might be able to get them to make contributions that they otherwise wouldn't. And have you approached the business community here, or perhaps they can seek to do it?
No, you mean like, is the Adams Morgan bid? Is that what you mean by the business community? Yeah. No, I did run this by myself for 5 years. I now have 1.5 staff members helping me. So there's so many great ideas out there about ways that I could, be rescuing more food. I'm happy to be connected to anybody within your service area who can let me go a little deeper. And I do, because I'm at the festival center, they do have some refrigeration and I have a key code, so I can go in the evening and put food there briefly and then the next morning get it out again. So that was one of the wonderful byproducts of being a resident. Have staff have space over at the festival center.
Well, I feel to say I applaud this effort. I'm really excited about these kinds of ventures.
Yeah, it's we do quite a bit with Christ House and Potter's House especially, and we bring food to Potter's House that they use for the pay as you go or the free meals over to the left. So it's nice to be working with that community. And yeah, I'm standing by, and if I can clear out the rest of that foxtrot, I'm happy to. I'm sure there's still good stuff, because if Christ House took it, I know they don't like sweets, but we would find other people who would, it's always, we're food waste and food insecurity. So as much as we want to help feed people healthy food, we also are trying to keep the harmful effects of filling landfills with food that rots and puts off gases. So it's a dual mission. So that's Food Rescue US.
Thanks. Before Commissioner Laughlin goes, and Kristen from the bid, is hoping to get you some exposure. So make
Hi.
sure you look at the comments in a second, and I'll send it.
Okay. Thank you. Terrific. Got it.
So that was my follow so you were able to get into the Adams Morgan Foxtrot to get some items, or that Christ House was able to get in?
Yes, this was
Okay.
outside of my scope. I've been writing and my team has been trying to get in, but it was Commissioner Stevens who actually approached me and said, you know,
Got it.
I don't know if when you approached me, you didn't realize that Christ House had already been in there. I was surprised to hear that. And I'm pleased.
No,
that
I had no, sorry to interrupt here. I just want to say I had no idea that was all in the works, because it took me forever to find the exact right person, that asset manager, you know, to speak to. I mean, I went through a number of people and played some phone tag, and finally I spoke to Stephen, I believe it is, and he was very helpful, but he did say, well, right now as we speak, you know, Christ House is either clearing the place out or making plans to clear out the place. And so, but what he did say, Kate, you were mentioning about the suites, there's certain things that Christ House won't take, and he was hoping to speak to you. So if you guys can have a conversation, there might be something that you can get. But my main focus was to get the food out and have it not go to waste. And so if Christ House could do that, I mean, that's fine with me. And I'm sure you feel the same, you know, so
100%.
At least it happened, you know.
And I texted I believe Stephen, the gentleman that you referred me to, I sent him a text just kind of relaying what my aim was to see if we could finish up the job. I mean, it was labor intensive, but we were happy to do it. It was remarkable. A lot of gummy worms and gummy bears.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you a lot.
So that was my other question. So you said that you have a number of volunteers. What are the volunteer activities that would be available for people?
So once you download the app, it's a web-based app, so it's not in the App Store, but it's foodrescue.us, and we list matched rescues between, for example, We the Pizza and Potter's House. And so it has the pickup and drop off instructions. It has a time frame, pickup between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And my phone number is at the end of every pickup and drop off in case there's any confusion. So I always have my phone at my side, but it's really an opportunity. We don't do a lot of volunteer push work. I mean, people go in and claim their own rescues. We do about 800 rescues a month. And Fridays are crazy busy. But so if everything's working well, then all the rescues have been claimed and people are just out there fulfilling obligations and making it happen. I will say, I oftentimes get people who have to do community service, whether it's students or, I hate to say it, but one of my favorites is people who have traffic issues, et cetera, who have to work off 40 hours, and they are very, very dedicated out there doing rescues. And I can tell when a new one has come on board because they claim a bunch, and I have to make sure they understand the process. But so it's very self-explanatory, and we do get, CBS News is doing a national piece actually later this month for us. WJLA has done work. It was actually WUSA did the piece about Foxtrot and profiled us, and that gave us some visibility, and maybe that's how Commissioner Stevens learned about us. But it's a really great, each rescue takes between half an hour, no more than an hour. Some of them are super easy, and we have bikers. We have big bikers who use bike trails. In our app, you can filter and say, I want to do bike rescues, because we're trying to, have a low carbon footprint and make sure that there's options for people who don't have cars, since so many folks in DC don't have cars.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll definitely look that up more.
Sure. Great. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to say hello to you. I should do this to every ANC. Honestly, this is the beginning of a great idea. So I appreciate this.
Yeah, I'm glad you started with Adams Morgan. We're glad to have you. Commissioners, any other questions, comments? We'll appreciate your time, Kate. Have a good evening.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye-bye. All right, so now it is public announcements. If you have something to say, if it's not an agenda item, the time will be that for the agenda items, and I'm gonna have to make some last minute suggestions to fixes to the agenda in a second, but please keep it brief. Happy to hear from you. If you want to speak, raise your hand. I believe Kristen will want to speak. She's had her hand up for a bit. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, sorry. Always takes a minute to come up as a panelist. So can you hear me all right?
Yeah, welcome. How are you
Okay,
doing?
great. Big rain here just started. Hopefully it won't interrupt us, but yeah. So a couple things. One, Jake, I had a question for you about the Brass Knob warehouse building. It's not obvious that any construction has really started there, but I just wanted to see if you saw anything or heard anything more. No.
Nope,
Okay.
haven't noticed anything since I got the notification that they were seeking final permits.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. They are going to be sent to tax sale because they owe the city a lot of money. The tax sale is in just a couple weeks. I think it's the 17th through the 19th. So we'll see what happens. But unless they pay off a lot of that debt, they will probably lose it in tax sale. So, and as we know, it's a long process, right? They can have the opportunity to pay off the taxes and get it back from whoever buys that tax lien. It takes years, right, for that whole process to play out. But it's one more inconvenience for them. And it will be more expensive, of course, because there's more penalty and interest and there's legal fees and all of that. So anyway, yeah, and we're eager to get our funding as well. So yeah, that's why I'm so interested, because they owe us a lot of money. And our budget is built on that. So all right, so moving on to my updates. That was a question I had, but let me share with you a little bit about what's going on with us. So the movie nights were great. I think a few of you came out for those. We had a terrific turnout at Marie Reed. We actually didn't have to cancel any of them for rain, which was good and bad, I guess. Right, we need the rain. We're getting that now. Yeah, we had a great series. So we finished it up on June 25th with Space Jam, which was the family night. Had a lot of fun, had some commanders, mascots, and former players come out and talk to folks. And we had a lot of activities for kids. So it was really fun. I think I mentioned before, we're going to be adding to our streetlight banners. We're going to be putting in a couple new designs, kind of mixing it up a little bit to keep it fresh. The current designs will all stay, but we're going to be adding a couple new ones. These were also done by Rebecca Williams, who is affiliated with Throughline on Columbia Road. So she's a fantastic artist. We had a great event tonight with Shanklin Hall and the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, Nina Alpert. This was the first of their sort of DemPed in your neighborhood events. So it was really nice. It was a great opportunity for people to chat with her on a more individual basis. So thank you, ANC commissioners, for coming out. That was great for you to support that. I'll put a plug in that 2025 is the Adams Morgan Bid's 20th anniversary. And so we'll be planning some events in early 2025 to celebrate that. So we hope that all of you will come. It'll be in the neighborhood, probably at Venture X or at the Line Hotel. So stay tuned for more on that. Our drag story time events have started. There were 2 in June. There'll be one on Sunday, July 28th. Katie Magician is going to be back. She's fabulous. She's a school teacher, so she's really great. If it's really hot, it'll be in the community center at the Line Hotel. We moved the June 30th one in there because it was just too hot to be in the park. But normally we'll be in Unity Park unless it's super hot. And that's on Sunday, the 28th of July, and that starts at about 11, I think. It's for, kids of all ages. And it'll continue the last Sunday of every month through October. So October 27th is the last one. And then our Admiral Vibe concert series. Thank you for putting the letter on the consent agenda. Those begin in Calorama Park on Wednesday, July 31st. Those are each from 6 to 7:30. And on the 31st, we're going to kick it off with the Saints Band from the Sitar Center. And then we will continue on every Wednesday in August. Thankfully, the ANC is not meeting in August, so we can do these events instead. August 7th is Airport 77s. August 14th is Justin Trewick and the Common Good. And Wednesday, August 21st is Emma G. And then we've saved August 28th for the rain date. So that will kind of conclude all of our summer events. I think you're going to hear more about the Adams Morgan Day Festival from those organizers later on in the agenda. We look forward to being a participant at the festival, as we always are. So, and then after Adams Morgan Day on September 8th, we will also be doing the Apple Festival at the end of October, and then Fall Porch Fest is going to be Saturday, November 2nd. So that's a little bit about what's coming up.
It's great. Thanks as always. Any questions, commissioners? It was very thorough. Glad to have you as always. Have a nice night, Kristen.
Great. Thanks a lot.
So on to the rest of our agenda. I want to move on the condition that not doing so would be disadvantageous or adverse to the community to make a couple adjustments. I guess one or two of them we don't need approval for, but there's no minutes available. Our interns had some, I think, serious personal issues that has distracted her. So we'll just postpone that and probably tonight's minutes for the September meeting. So I'll get rid of that. I think someone from the Adams Morgan Day organizers wants to just give us a brief presentation of that. So let's take it off of the consent agenda just so that we can have that as a proper item. Don't expect it to be controversial. We've very easily supported that every single time in the past, but they just wanted to show a bit of what they're up to. And then I just realized, I think it's probably my fault, and it's also because we didn't have a PZT meeting last month, which is fine, but there was no proper item regarding the WMATA bus priority project or proposal on our agenda. I'm going to have the motion be to have that added. We've been engaging with a lot of constituents and doing our best to advocate, but I think I just forgot to put it on because we didn't have it voted on by committee. So if I could get a second for that change, I could vote on that. Second. Thank you, Commissioner Pasquini. All in favor of the addition, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. All right, so on to, if there's no issues with the consent agenda, which we shouldn't at this point, it's just the Admo Vibe concerts that will pass, and so be it. Now on to the regular agenda. First, we have application for new medical cannabis retailer license. This is for Positronics. This passed out of the ABC committee in June. If someone's here, I don't remember who it was. If they are here tonight, I don't think anyone's here to present, but if you wanted to speak, raise your hand and do so. Commissioner Voskini, are you prepared to give a brief introduction? If not, I can try.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in the agenda. Just messing around with it. So yeah, Positronics is the first application that we've gotten yet for a new cannabis license. It is simply for sale and for delivery. So those are the two things that they're requesting. They're not expecting a ton of delivery right away, but they do think that they would potentially expand out more delivery later. But for now, at least, it would just be for point of sale. It is an interesting location because it is exactly 410 feet from the other cannabis license that we approved 2 months ago, north on 18th Street, near the entrance to Murray Reed. And then this is south of the tennis courts, kind of in between the Imperial and the Whiskey Bar, where the current kebab and pizza place is. And they are also exactly 410 feet north of the two cannabis places down on 18th Street, just south of Florida. So that location exactly meets the specific requirements of these cannabis locations being spaced out more than 400 feet from one another. So this would be like the cannabis place on that block because it would edge out any others from going in there. And we would know that we wouldn't have any other cannabis locations going in between that block and the ones that are down further south on 18th, and also any in between there and the one that we approved 2 months ago a little bit north on 18th Street. So the owners seem very responsible, have been in the cannabis industry in the past in Amsterdam, which I thought was very interesting. They want to run a really legit shop. They agreed to a settlement agreement, if that's what we want. They agreed to having security to make sure that no one's standing in line outside. There will be no smoking inside or outside of the premises. They won't have any tasting. They will have some open product inside the store, but not much. It will only be for visual inspection, and that's it. And they have a whole security plan in place. And I think that those were the primary things that we discussed with them. I don't know, Commissioner Wood, was there anything else that you wanted to put in on this one?
Only other thing, and I don't know if there's like a clean summary of it, but I know that there is a bit of like it seemed like potentially dispute between the current tenants and what the potential soon to be tenants involving the landlords. I don't remember exactly the dynamics because I don't think it's been properly explained. Do you have any insight on what's going on there? Because I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't. The emails that I've gotten about it have been very confusing and hard to track down, and I haven't received a response yet back from ABCA about the legality of this, but it seems like this cannabis retailer has requested a license at that location, even though there is already a store in operation there that has a liquor license, which is the pizza and kebab place. The landlord apparently has not renewed the lease with the pizza and kebab place. They're upset about this. They've requested a new lease. The landlord hasn't given them a new lease. To me, I think the landlord has been waiting because of cannabis, has been waiting to see whether or not they can get a cannabis place in instead of a pizza place. And that's been their delay. I don't know that to be true. I haven't spoken with the landlord. But to me, this appears to be a tenant landlord dispute. It does not appear to be a dispute amongst the two businesses. I think the pizza and kebab place wants to stay there. They don't want to have to move. And this would force them out if the landlord shifts. But I don't think that that is one of the limited things that an ANC is allowed to consider when it considers whether or not we vote for or against a cannabis license. So I will just warn everyone about that as we go into considering the cannabis license, whether or not the landlord has a dispute with another tenant at the time is not something that, as I've read the law, is something that we are allowed to factor into consideration as to whether or not we will grant the license or agree not to protest the license that has been sought for.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because that's a matter that's not directly related to us. It's essentially a business matter between two business entities, right? So
Exactly.
we're deciding to support whether the application in and of itself is worthy of approval, which is an aside from the dynamics that happen to be going on inside the property, as far as we can tell. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Yes, what you emphasize the concern for security. What are they securing? Just robbery or something like that? Why are they emphasis on security?
Yeah, ABCA requires a safety and security plan for every cannabis applicant, new cannabis applicant in Washington, D.C. The reason why is because it's very valuable product that's kept in a space, and because of the federal regulations on cannabis, there's also a high cash flow with cannabis stores. And so in other locations and in other places, there has been some problems with the stores being robbed. And I haven't heard of it in DC very much, but I know that in other locations it's been a big thing. So they do require safe, locked doors, security, a whole security plan. All of that is a part of their application to ABCA.
Okay.
These are all things that we are learning. as we go along because no one has taught them to us. Because why would they? We're just the ANCs that are responsible for enforcing this in our neighborhoods.
Not quite enforcing, but like a half step away from it. Yeah, I agree that we don't get trained on a lot of things, but some of it's changed. But cannabis is a work in progress, it seems.
I just one final note on this is that at committee level, it was a 2-to-1 vote in favor of this out. Commissioner Shapiro did oppose.
Thank you for that. Commissioners, questions, comments? Anything else? Those in attendance, any questions, comments, concerns, raises, etc.? All right, so on that, we'll move that we voice support for this application. Commissioner Palaschini made it clear. I think they were similar to past applicants, really responsive and very communicative, and to the best of our discernment, seem to be pretty knowledgeable and transparent and just want to be really good local actors in the neighborhood that are truly invested. And we've had some in the past that turned out to be a wise assessment. So hopefully this is the case as well. Can that pass from committee? Doesn't need a second. Last opportunity for any questions, comments. Let's put it to a vote. All those in favor of support for this application, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. The measure passes. The motion passes. All right. Next on our agenda is, let's see. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. We have the next 2 items will have people that have been waiting very kindly. First is a proposed art project for public space use potentially in the alley between California Street and Florida Avenue. A familiar face. Monica, welcome. If you're here, raise your hand, we'll get you promoted. If not, we'll come back to you. There we go. Hi, Monica. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you? I can't start the video.
Videos are problematic sometimes. We'll see how this goes. I don't know how the audio and video and everything connects, so we'll see.
Am I on? I can't seem to.
We can hear you. We cannot see you or any presentation.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Let me see. It's why I won't start the video. Oh, there. There you see me now. Hello, hello. Okay, so do I have to accept something to share my screen? Yes, share screen. There we go. I see. Okay, I'm gonna do desktop. I had it all lined up, but where did it go? 1 second.
No, it's all right.
Okay, I'm going to try and open. There we go. Hang on, something strange is happening. Hang on, sorry. It's not, you're not seeing my desktop? Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. Are you seeing it?
Not yet.
Are you seeing it now?
Sometimes there's a light. We're not there yet, though.
You don't see my desktop?
Doesn't seem that way.
Okay, hang on.
You also have 2, I don't know if you're on 2 different devices because two of your versions are promoted. So I don't know if you're, I don't know.
Oh,
if that's
shoot, I am on 2 different devices because I wasn't sure. I couldn't see the whole panel on the other device. Should I turn one device off?
Probably doesn't hurt. Not sure
Yeah, and the correct one's off now. So the one we can see you and
You're seeing
your
me?
other
Okay,
one.
I'm on the correct one. But are you
Yeah.
seeing my proposal, my pictures?
No, we are not yet.
Okay, let's see how I do that. Let's see. Oh my God. It's because, hang on. I'm going to reduce other things and see if there's some reason. Oh God. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try again. Do you see it now? Okay, here we go. Do you see it now?
Thank you. Yeah, great.
Yes. Yes.
Yay! Okay, now I'm gonna put it in play mode and see if this will work. Okay, play. God, sorry, it's there we go. I'm out of practice with Zoom. We've been doing like less Zoom these days. Okay, thank you all so much. So I'm Monica. I have lived in Kalorama Triangle, Adamsburg neighborhood since the year 2000. And I'm an artist. I'm from Bangladesh originally, and I've done a bunch of public art projects in the neighborhood around the city. And the one I'm proposing for next year, 2025, is called Stretch. And it's actually would be on the exterior of the building at 1724 California Street, which houses Mint. And I'll just, let's see, how do I, goodness, this is not moving to the next slide. Move. I seem to be frozen. I'm frozen. Oh my goodness. I'm seeing like a spinning ball for some reason. I'll just talk about it. So I don't know if some of you saw, I did a project very recently at Marie Reed Plaza. That was a bunch of blue saris, 22 saris that were in the shape of a swimming pool. And I do these, I put the public in public art. The public actually works with me to create some of the project, and I take feedback from the public before making final designs. But the idea for this one would be to use sari fabric from Bangladesh to make, to stretch them like bands across the front of the Mint gym, and then also across the, oh, it's stopped spinning. Is it moving now to the next image though?
Your cursor is moving, like we see the arrow.
Then the picture doesn't move. So weird. I don't know why. Okay, let me see if I can stop share and try again. Okay, there's something very strange going on with my Zoom today. Share screen. Try again. Hey. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's happening. Okay, resume share. My whole thing seems to be frozen. Resume share. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say. I really apologize. I shared this on another Zoom earlier today to make sure it was working. But maybe because it's a webinar Zoom, something strange is happening?
It's possible. I think that the first or page you showed, I think, was a pretty good example of the project you're doing. So
Yeah,
even
so
if
let me just explain what it is. So the idea is that I would do a sari stretched across the front of the building and then across the side of it also for a temporary installation. But then so I want to do something very different this time. I actually want to make a permanent, semi-permanent, but a tile mural on the alley that's behind Mint on the California Street side. So there's a space, and I got feedback from the ANC, the ADMO partnership bid people about certain spaces in the neighborhood that the owners and other neighbors are looking for visual art, murals and things in the space. So this is one of the spaces that was recommended that people want to have art there. So my idea is to actually make a ceramic tile version of a sari, which would be actually the dimensions of a sari, 4 feet by 19 feet, kind of a quite huge actually, and it would be 76 1 foot 12-inch tiles in the shape of a sari that would go underneath the window that's on that on the California Street side of the alley, and it would actually be painted and stenciled to look similar to a sari, but it's going to have really beautiful designs. And I wanted to show you some of the pictures. You know what I'll do? I'll just email you the slides so you can look at them. Since it's not, for some reason, working to share it. And then the idea is that unlike a painted mural, the beautiful thing about ceramic tile is it's long lasting and you can get graffiti off it very easily. It just, and it's, you know, and I was recently in Lisbon to visit my brother, and I was so impressed by these like 100-year-old tiles that are on the sides of buildings. And they really do last a long time. And I met with a ceramic, I've done ceramics myself before, but I met with someone this week who's very experienced in this, and we decided that terracotta is probably the best way to go, either terracotta or porcelain tiles. And the final design will be, approved with feedback from the community, including the owner, of course. And the idea would be to apply for a DC Commission grant for this. There's a Public Art Building Communities grant, which I've applied for and received in the past. And the application is due on July 22nd. I've already met with the owners of Mint and the owner of the building, Jeffrey Schoenberg, I believe is his name, and they're very into it. And it's going to be basically, we think it's going to be, I'm thinking it's going to be white with blue and green and black, sort of three colors. A very beautiful, it'll have borders with people swimming, people biking, sort of exercise and breathing concepts, but also other imagery of people stretching and trees. But anyway, I think it's going to be a really beautiful addition to that kind of dreary alley. And I'm hoping that if it works and I get funding for it, then the next year I would try to add actually another one to the other end on the Florida side and try to connect them with scattered tiles. So you would actually have this incredible mural going from California to Florida. That's my hope. So it's quite expensive. The tiles, the design, and the so I can't do the whole thing in one go, but that's my plan. And so, what? It's somehow suddenly opening? I don't know what happened.
But if it comes, we'll let you know.
So that's my plan. I'll send you the slides. I can also send them to you, and you can put them up on your website if people want to look at them in more detail. But that's my idea, and I would love to get any feedback people have. And then if you like the idea, I would need a letter of support to apply for the grant. That you've provided me one last year, and it led to this wonderful project that I did recently called Swimming, where really just, lots of people, hundreds of people were involved in the project. And it actually is in the East City Art News today, and there's going to be an article about it in Bangladesh. It's also in the Washington Post. Brought a lot of people in from around the city to our neighborhood. So I think that's all I'm going to say, since I can't show you the pictures, and I'm a visual person, but it's not working.
It's all right. That's still very helpful. And we've thankfully been exposed to your projects in the past. So it's always nice to see that you're continuing to work hard for the neighborhood. Commissioners, any questions, comments, concerns? I have one quick one. Might not even be a good question. If someone were to hypothetically spray paint graffiti on this, like, how do you handle that? Do you have any idea how that might go?
Yeah, so there's a simple solvent that you just put on a rag and rub it off. That's why I want to do this. I see all these beautiful murals being ruined by graffiti, and my own garage has been tagged. So I really don't want to just do a paint mural. It's too much work to have it just be destroyed and then I have to fix it. But yeah, the ceramic tiles, the high quality ones, terracotta or porcelain, last for centuries. They could last for a really long time. I mean, if people, the owner doesn't want it, after a few years, they could also remove it, but it's their property. They can remove it. I'm not going to require people to keep it forever. But yeah, graffiti comes off really easy. It's very low maintenance. We do have extreme weather in DC now, so I want to make sure to use the highest quality tiles and the highest quality glazes. So I'm going to be working with an expert to figure that out. But yeah, they're going to be easy to clean. It's really, and they have them all over Europe, and they're pretty easy to clean. They're going to put some kind of coating on it too to make it easier to clean. Even graffiti will come off. It's kind of incredible.
Glad to hear it. That's cool. Commissioners, any last thoughts? Commissioner Fauschini?
Monica, this is great. And your last project at Marie Reed was wonderful. I got so many comments back from faculty and teachers and students and parents. Like everybody loved having it out there. So thank you. I guess my only question is, what are you asking from us? Just a letter of support? Is there a financial
just a
ask?
letter of support. And I have the one from last year. I can forward it and just update it and forward it to you. That's all. I need a letter of support from the ANC. It's a requirement of the grant. And I also, I like to be in touch with the neighborhood and know, make sure. I mean, I spoke to Peter and he connected me to one of the owners, I think to the Mint owner and the, an Admo. And I actually asked to find out, like, what are some of the places that you want art? I don't want to do something. I really believe in engaging the community in developing these projects. So all I need from you is a letter, and I will send a draft over. And my grant is due pretty soon. I'm working on final drawings and stuff. It's due July 22nd. So if I could get the letter in the next week, it would be helpful. I can just start uploading. I have to upload about 30 documents. I already have a letter. I have to get 4 different reviews. I have to get historic preservation review. I already have that. It's not within a historic area, although adjacent to it, so they're okay with it. I also got buildings department and DOB review. I'm gonna have to do a building permit and a sign permit. I'm waiting for DOT review. I have to do all the permits for this, but I will do them. I know how to do them. And so I'm required to do all these letters, including a letter from the ANC. And I also am going to get a letter from the owner, an actual site agreement signed. There's literally about 100 documents I have to do to apply for this grant, but I am experienced in doing it now. So
Not envy you on the paperwork, but just to
yeah, there's a lot of paperwork.
correct me if I'm mistaken, but just to clarify that point, I think the intention behind the ANC component of the grant application is just to demonstrate that you've engaged with the community, because for installation purposes in this case, you will be in a public space, just to demonstrate that you've engaged, to show that you're aware of that and you'll mitigate any potential obstruction or inconvenience that might cause. This is an alley that's relatively not used, and it's not a it's not a very intensive obstruction space. So it's, at least in my mind, not a difficult application. But in the event that you were going to like block off a sidewalk indefinitely or something, they would want to show that you've engaged to try to address that type of concern.
I think that is something I'm dealing with DOT. That is really not, I mean, I'm happy to take feedback on that. The reason they want me to come to the ANC is actually to make sure that you like the proposal, that this will be a positive thing in the neighborhood. That's the main reason that they want me to present to you all. But yeah, DOT will be looking at every little bit about it. If I put a ladder up just for installation, I'm going to have to get a permit for that. I'll be getting an open space permit. So everything I do is completely, checking all the boxes and getting all permits for. So I got a permit for Marie Reed, by the way, even though they don't normally get permits for all the banners and things they put up. But I did get a building department permit for that and letters of clearance from every other agency that's involved. So yes, I will do that. And I will, of course, I want feedback for, to make sure that, the people that are adjacent they're not, it'll be I think it would probably be installed in a day or two. It won't take very long,
Wow.
I don't think it will take very long. I don't know. I have to find out. I'm waiting to get a couple of quotes from, but I don't think it takes that long. I mean, the fabric installation I will do in one day. But the tile installation, I don't know how long it would take. It's not that, it's about 19 feet long tile. I'll have to see. It's like, how long does it take to install tiles in a bathroom? Probably similar, right? It's probably a one-day job, right? It's just done with mortar.
Just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, like the last time that we supported a project, it wasn't in an alley, so it was slightly different. But in terms of who the letter of support should be directed to, is that Arts and Humanities, Department of Transportation, both?
It can be literally even to me, but it should be the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. But the only people that would look at it will be a bunch of artists and cultural people from around the city that will be convened to be the panel that judges the applications. So it's actually not going to be, read by the commission necessarily. It's a pro forma letter that, I don't know. I don't really know. But yeah, in the past, you've addressed it to the DC Commission, and I can send it. I'll send it to you that way. I'll send you a draft. I'll send it to you tonight when I get off this call.
I think one thing we could do is proactively write it so that the merits of the art project have been addressed, and also as a nice to have, the use of public space of a Department of Transportation property has been addressed too. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Damn it.
Commissioner Chaparro, you might want to mute, but Commissioner Jones, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Is there a time constraint for a letter of support from us?
I didn't hear you. What is the time frame you said?
Is there a time constraint for support from us?
It would be great to get it within a week by like next, within a week, because I have to apply. The application has to be fully uploaded by the 22nd, so of this month. So if you could get it to me by next week, I'll send you a draft tonight. I'll just update the letter from last year and change the name of the project and the description.
Perfect. In the event that we vote yes in a few seconds, I will do my best in the next couple of days to get that together and sent.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you all are doing.
Likewise. Commissioners, any last thoughts? This did not come through committee, so I'll move.
Yes.
Letter of support. Any second?
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
I've got a question, Peter.
All yours, Commissioner.
Two questions, actually. One, since we can't see what you're proposing, I'm assuming there's nothing political in this. Am I correct?
Yes, it's not very political. I wish I could share my screen. I'm going to try one more time. It's not political.
And the second one is.
It's not political. I mean, some of my work talks about climate change, but this one isn't really about climate change. This is called Stretch, and it's can you see it? I am screen sharing, but it's not letting me see the images.
We're seeing a map of Bangladesh right now.
Yeah, that's all you're seeing. It's not moving to the next image for some reason.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
And have you talked to the owner about who will, in the event there is graffiti, who's going to be responsible for cleaning it?
I will work that out with him. I told him that it shouldn't be hard to clean it. But no, we didn't talk about who will be responsible for it. I mean, I would be happy to be responsible for it for a couple of years, but obviously I don't know how long I'm going to live. The owner is, going to have to take care of it. I think it's pretty simple to do though. It's pretty simple to do. There's just a solvent, you put it on a rag and you wipe it off. So, yeah, I mean, it's, it'll be owned by the building. I'll be happy to maintain it for a couple of years. I think that's what I'll agree to. We will have a signed agreement though in place. That's a good question. I like that question. It's the maintenance of it. Typically the way the grant works is they consider a permanent work of art anything that's 2 years or longer. So, and I think you're supposed to come up with a maintenance plan for 2 years, but then after that it's, yeah, the owner will have to maintain it because I won't really own it anymore. It'll be theirs.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner?
No, sir.
Thank you. On that, this did not come from committee, so I'll move to support the application. Can I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of supporting yet another beautiful, well, soon to be beautiful, our project in Adams Morgan, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you so much, Monica. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm going to email to you all a PDF of this, of the slides that I wasn't able to open. It's somehow completely frozen in Zoom. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you again. Have a
We're
nice day.
gonna send the previous letter. Oh, she gone?
Just a template just to make sure that we do the formatting in a way that is easy. It's just saving us time.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is proper protocol, but I'll try it anyway. Commissioner Shapiro well, it looks like on this one too. I'll just wait. There's internet difficulties, so on the previous item, I don't think his vote was registered, so I just want to clarify that, but we can do that later. Now we'll move on to letter support for Adams Morgan Day permit. Thank you so much for waiting. It's been a little bit longer than I expected to get to this, but I appreciate you being here. I think it's Cece that's going to speak if I'm not mistaken. In any case, if you're here to discuss Adams Morgan Day, please raise your hand. Appreciate your patience. Glad to have you. How are you doing? And Brian as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I will share. Let's see if I can bring that up. In a second. Oh, there is the share button down here. Give me a second. I'm trying to share our main components of the festival, but for some reason the share button isn't.
Rough go with the share button tonight. I don't know what's going on.
I can see it, but it's like at the bottom of my screen. Wow.
Okay, we'll get through it. Sometimes if you mess around with how you're sharing it, if you're like sharing a specific program or tab or something like that, occasionally that fixes it. I'm not sure what's on your end.
Yeah, I see the button, but for some reason I can't select it. Oh, wow.
You did something right, I think. Yeah,
So did it come up?
Did.
It did, great. Okay, maybe I can make this a little larger. Well, I'll just start my video. Hopefully you guys can see me.
Everything looks great now.
It does, okay. And you can see the screen, great.
Yeah, love your jewelry, by the way.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, guys, as you know, the Adams Morgan Festival is the longest running neighborhood festival in the Washington, D.C. area. This year, it will be September 8th between the hours of 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. And just want to go over the main components of the festival. Marie Reed, that's where we're going to have our vendors, and we refer to that as Artisan Stroll. We will also have the Dance Plaza there. The Dance Plaza is where we have an international dance stage where we are showing dancers from various countries as well as providing dance instructions. And that's one of our most well-attended stages as well. We will have Volo City Kids Zone that will also be at Marie Reed on the field, as well as our Atlas Brewing Company will be there as well, setting up as one of our, I guess, sponsors for the beer, Adams Morgan's Day beer. Melodies at Calorama Park, that's where we're going to have basically music entertainment there. Also, Marie Reed, let's go back to Marie Reed again. That's where we will have an artist mural, something different that we're doing. We're having various artists basically come together and give us one large painting. Hopefully it'll be done by the end of the festival. And also our community history, we are looking at placing that at Truist Plaza. So basically, this is the main component of the festival. And to get the permit for Marie Reed as well as Calorama, we're going to need the ANC buy-in for that. And basically, that's why we're here. I also have Brian Kavanaugh here as well. And I am the festival director, resident of Washington, D.C., have been with the Adams Morgan Festival off and on since 2005. So we are looking for your support this year again.
Appreciate the explanation. And always glad to support, well, presumptively support Adams Morgan Day because you're very good for the neighborhood. Just to clarify, I think it's the same as it's been in the years past, but you're basically just using some of the public space that's on sidewalk-ish space and you just want support from the ANC to show that we're in support of doing that for Adams Morgan Day. So that's the extent of it, right?
That's the extent of it, yes.
Perfect. Easy in my book. Commissioners, questions, comments? All right. Anyone from the community that's here tonight? Commissioner Pasquini, go ahead.
All right, the raise hand function still isn't working for me tonight. Apologies. Brian, it's great to see you. Welcome back. Hope Island Life is treating you well. Stacey, thank you so much for the presentation. It's really, we love Adams Morgan Day. And really appreciate everything that you do for the neighborhood to put this on. Is there a reason why Adams Morgan Day hasn't continued to request kind of closing down 18th Street and doing kind of a pedestrian zone between Calorama and Columbia Road?
We were participating in the pedestrian zone last year. This year, we will not be participating, and we participated under AMP bid last year.
Thank you.
So Jake, to answer that question, this year our resources were not looking capable of doing that. However, in the future, we hope to work with BID, as we've seen last festival, even though it was rained out at the very beginning, it turned out to be quite a thoroughfare up and down at least 18th Street. But looking forward to doing that again with the success that BID has. Kristen presented earlier with the Porch Festival this spring, and I believe that they're doing that again in the fall. So in the future, we hope to be doing that, but this year will be concentrated at Calorama Park. So we're incorporating the Columbia Road section of Adams Morgan, as well as located primarily in Marie Reed. But then, of course, we have all of the businesses up and down this 18th Street. We'll be doing specials just as usual. We'll have music up and down. I know a lot of the restaurants and bars have quite lively music. I mean, Madam's Organ, where I was at Roofers Union for all those years as well. And then likewise in Columbia, the Line Hotel and everything. So activating a number of sites throughout the neighborhood, but this year not closing the street down, but hopefully next year we can do that again.
Awesome. That's great. I appreciate that. I mean, I'd be more than happy to support 3 days of at least 3, if not more, of closing down 18th Street to support both for, the 2 porch festivals and also for Adams Morgan Day. I think it's good to open up that street pedestrians and make sure that it's a place where our community can come together. So I'm happy to support that in the future. Just want to know that you have another vote here for that if you plan for that in the future. And Brian, that was a joke about your shirt. I know you're not actually living on an island right now.
What you don't know, Jake, is I actually live in Ukraine so that's a whole different situation, which is not a joke. But to that point, the amount of preparation and the amount of organization that takes to close down 18th Street is Herculean. And what Admo BID has done in the last few years to put that together in concert with so many different city organizations is really remarkable. And it costs a ton of money. It really does, up and down the street, literally up and down the street. The amount of effort that you have to put into it way ahead of time, and on the day of as well. It takes a lot of people. And we're a small organization, but working with them in the future and working with DC agencies, we hope to do that again. You do not have to sell me on the virtues of closing down 18th Street. Just seeing the kids walking up and down the street in the middle of the day is kind of extraordinary. But you've got to get a lot of buy-in, and it takes a lot of work. And so I salute everything that BID has been able to do to further this process along, and we're excited to do that again. So this year, unfortunately, in these isolated, large events, but then celebrating up and down the street all throughout Adams Morgan, just like we do every year for the last 45 years. It's older than I am, so I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's a bit of an aside, I suppose, but hopefully we can restart those conversations to support as a commission, making the process easier if there's interest in doing something like opening the street to pedestrian traffic. But for the meantime, we'll settle for keeping around regardless.
Yeah, I do not think that Kristen and the BID will be upset by any further support that you would give in that instance.
Sounds like an understatement. Commissioners, anything else? All right. This again did not come from committee, so I'll move to support this application. Can I get a second?
Second.
Laughlin, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you again. Glad to have you. Have a good night. And looking forward to seeing you in a couple months.
Yes, same here.
Commissioner Shapiro, your internet connection working?
I voted then. Yes, I voted.
Just wanted to check just the two issue with the when you voted and you lost it. Did you were you in favor, opposed, or abstention? Just to make sure we recorded it correctly.
Well, I had a question in this, and how many feet is that facility from Marie Reed?
I think this is
Jake?
I think it's farther away than the applicant that we supported because it's farther down the street.
Yeah, but I was opposed to that support because of how close it is to Marie Reed.
Totally fine. This is tricky because I didn't realize you lost the internet connection until after so we can't really.
Yeah, I know.
I just wanted to. I presume that you might have potentially been opposed to this. So if that's the case, I just wanted to record it as such. Is that accurate?
I don't want to be opposed or in favor until I get that answer. So,
Abstaining.
What's sorry, what's the exact question?
how far away is it from Marie Reed?
Positronics location.
Oh, positronics, I believe it's 400, exactly 400 feet away. It depends on where you consider the line to Marie Reed. Is it directly where the tennis court stops, or is it, further up from the tennis court into the plaza, in front of Marie Reed? So
I'm
it really
satisfied with
depends on
300 feet. If it's more than
what's that?
300 feet, I would be in favor of it.
Yeah, it is. It's more than 300 feet.
Then I would vote in favor of it.
Okay, your
Okay.
vote was voted correctly, and appreciate the clarification. And sorry for a weird Robert's rule question, which is, can we revise the discussions based off of a failed internet connection? I'll look into in the future, but appreciate it. One more item tonight. We've discussed this before in previous meetings. We do have a timeline that it seems like WMATA is not willing to budge with. I was hoping that they would say that the community input from just general individuals for this proposal is July 15th, but there might have been kind of like an unofficial extended leeway for ANCs. Seems that that's not the case. So if we want to voice opinion on this, tonight would be the night to officially vote as a commission. We can, of course, submit things as individual commissioners and residents, and I've instructed residents that I represent to do so, and they have sent those comments. But let's hear it. Any thoughts, questions, comments about the WMATA bus priority or the Better Bus Network proposal? Anyone want to go first? Commissioner Foskini.
I mean, you all saw I sent a really long email to WMATA with like several points about the Better Bus Network and how it impacts the neighborhood. I'm just a map geek, so I'm, tried to look at the old maps versus the new maps. It's really hard to figure out. I don't know why they organized the bus lines the way that they did. I don't know what the system of the alphanumeric system is that they used. It was supposed to be done in a way that's supposed to make more sense for the city, but it doesn't make any more sense to me. And so I don't understand why we're completely rerouting, like renumbering every single route in the city for our buses over some like new alphanumeric system that doesn't actually like make a whole lot of sense to me. So I don't know if somebody else has figured that out, like please tell me. That is one issue with it. Other issues that I brought up is that the new like 90s buses that go down 18th Street in Adams Morgan and take us kind of down into across Northeast down into Southeast. The new 90s buses are now called the C 51, 52, 53. And those no longer go down into Union Station directly. Now they actually are going to skim across the top of H Street and take you all the way into H Street. So we're no longer going to have any buses from Adams Morgan that take you to Union Station directly. It'll take you to like the H Street side of Union Station, but not like right up into Union Station like the old 90s buses or like our current 90s buses do. That seems like a pretty important access issue to me. I know that the multi-billion-dollar plan that they have for reworking Union Station is reorienting the station to be both the pedestrian entrance on the 8th Street side and on the south facing side, the Congress facing side. But that's not the case yet. And so for the next 10 years, at least, before, there's a big pedestrian kind of walkway and entrance on 8th Street for Union Station, it seems kind of silly to reroute our buses, the only ones that take folks from Adams Morgan down to Union Station, and to no longer, oh, interesting, cool. That's really helpful. Thanks, Peter. Still doesn't make a ton of sense for people who live in the city. And I think it goes to the point that I sent to Anne earlier today, is that this is WMATA is routing their system for the suburbs getting into the city. They're not routing the system for people who live in the city getting around in the city, and it's very frustrating. So that's an issue, lack of access to there. There's also a big issue with our current 42, 43 buses and the end terminus for all of those in the future. The new bus for that is going to be the D72, and the D72 is no longer going to continue past Farragut. So all of those buses will stop at Farragut. They're not going to service any of the like federal buildings or George Washington University area, any of the further metro station, the George Washington metro station down there. And I've received some complaints from constituents about that who have said they take those buses every day to get down to work, to the, thousands of federal jobs that like exist down there, and that they're really frustrated that this is going to be, then they're going to forced to get out at Farragut and then hop another bus from Farragut to like get down to their jobs as opposed to having direct access. So that's a frustration. And I think the continued lack of any sort of like, frequent bus service to any of our 4 metro stations around us is just like is asinine. It is like it's so asinine. It is like such a sign of a system that is not designed for urban neighborhoods. And so, if Adams Morgan was designing its own metros, like its own bus system, the first things we would do is have buses that were taking us very quick access out to our metros and down into downtown. And the fact that like that doesn't exist as a part of this plan after they've spent like, how many millions of dollars to revamp it is like absolutely asinine. So that is a huge failing of this better bus network as well. It's honestly for Adams Morgan, it's a worse bus network. It is not a better bus network. And then, for heading north into Northwest, the former 90s buses would take you up past the bridge. One stops at the bridge. The other would take you north and past the Woodley Park Zoo stop. So you would at least have access to the northbound red line in Woodley Park. That bus is no longer going to go that route. So we will no longer have that access to the Woodley Park, to a Woodley Park bus either. So I see tons of failings for Adams Morgan in this plan. Those are my kind of takeaways.
Yeah, thanks for all that. That's very helpful. I know you're very good on the transportation stuff, and it's helpful to get the thorough comments. Other commissioners, comments, questions?
Yeah, I've gotten some complaints on that 42, 43 bus situation where it's not going all the way downtown. To people who were employed by the federal government and so forth. And I think that's very bad. So I believe our PCT committee is getting something together. I think Jake is leading that, and I will definitely chime in on the 42, 43 and a few other things also. So thanks, Jake, for starting that out.
Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner. Anyone else? I have some thoughts, but I want to hear anyone else. So I agree with all these thoughts. I've heard similar thoughts from constituents, even before this project was proposed, that the 42, 43, like a bunch of changes to involving the Kennedy Center and downtown and metros, all of that it seems like the connectivity is not as good as it could be. Some of the changes in the past seem to have been kind of abrupt, and it's tricky because from what we can tell, WMATA's justification seems to be that they have data that they haven't particularly shared, I don't think, but they might have it somewhere, presumably, to say that the numbers aren't there to justify maintaining or modifying, but we haven't been able to get them to come to meeting. Also, in my personal opinion, just looking at the site for it, like everything seems really good in terms of the framework of what they're trying to do. From the Adams Morgan perspective, they don't even recognize Adams Morgan as a neighborhood on their list of neighborhoods, which I think is pretty revealing that we're kind of seeing it as, dare I say it, flyover or drive over country in the DC landscape, which is connecting points that are Adams Morgan and which happen to be in the way, which is unfortunate because it seems that for other neighborhoods, a lot more care is put into thinking about this, which hopefully this is the process of us being able to affect that. We'll, I guess, find out. The real question for me tonight is, to what degree of detail should we consider some sort of official commission voice? Because we can, as individual commissioners, we can send in comments, which I think we should do if anyone feels compelled to do so in any case. But should we voice something? And if so, how, to what degree of detail should we comment on specifics of routes? I'm kind of personally hesitant, and I hate to say it, to get too specific just because we haven't got a tangible letter that gets into specifics in front of us. Part of that is because we're hoping to get WMATA to come to one of two meetings or respond to questions that we got answers for this morning. So we don't have that, and they said they're not willing to budge on the timeline for the comment period to end. So we're basically stuck in a hard spot where if we were to comment, we could either risk being poorly informed or rushing it, or being non-transparent about the process from the commissioner perspective, or being general to the point that it might not be super impactful. I don't know what the right balance is, but if anyone has thoughts, this would be the time for us to, I guess, workshop them and see what we can come up with, if we're going to come up with anything. Anyone have comments on that? What should we do? The real question, if anything.
It's almost a matter of if we spent a lot of time on it tonight, we still wouldn't know what we were doing without WMATA answering our questions. So it's frustrating, but I'm not so sure that we can really offer intelligent comments. I know Jake can, but
yeah, Commissioner Van Wy.
Yeah, I'm fairly disappointed that WMATA wouldn't come and talk to us about this, because I do think many of these concerns are fairly serious. I've also heard from a number of folks specifically about the 4243, but Jake, or Commissioner Falaskini, everything that you've said raises some pretty major concerns, considering Adams Morgan really relies on buses to get around. So I would be very happy for us to weigh in. Commissioner Falaskini, Commissioner Stevens indicated you were working on something. I would be fairly happy to probably put my name on what you just described. All of those concerns are things that I would love to relay to WMATA, and also to express some disappointment in their inability or unwillingness to come and present to us and answer our questions. I would not be opposed to, in writing, conveying that disappointment. I would defer to others here. I know we don't have a ton of time to make it happen, but whatever process makes the most sense. I do think raising some formal concerns with at least the three things you laid out, and if there are additional items you would want to raise, I'd be happy to look at them, and I imagine I would agree with you on those, and then conveying that disappointment in their communication with us.
Well, and I didn't mean to volunteer Jake just now, but it was in a WhatsApp thing for the PZT committee. It sounds like we're trying to get a letter or resolution that works. In my opinion, I think it might be just a letter, because we're kind of short on time here because they won't extend the comment period. So I'm wondering if and here again, I'm volunteering Jake, and the only reason why is he seems to have kind of his thoughts together on it, and I have not read the email, by the way, that he wrote. So I almost feel like it would be kind of a version of that email, in letter format or something, and then we would pass it through PZT, you know what I mean, and then it would go to the full ANC. But of course, we're not meeting. I guess we're not meeting in August, so I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how we would.
Some
go
thoughts.
from
Commissioner Dixon, go first.
I don't really think a letter is going to do us much good. If they're not willing to engage with the ANC, I don't think they're going to take a letter from us seriously anyway. Janelle in the chat did just put that encourage people to submit their comments via the portal, which is what I have been doing with constituents and friends alike around the city. I have submitted my own comments. I don't know if they're actually using AI to summarize responses. I'm not aware of that, but that seems something, it seems highly likely considering how many comments they're probably getting. So I don't think a letter is going to do any good. I think we just need to encourage people to start submitting comments.
But I think the letter will register what we think. And I think that in the scheme of things, that expressing our concern in a letter may not add, it's not gonna overturn rocks, but it will suggest that we are considering it, and this is what our opinion is.
Yeah, thanks for those thoughts. So my perspective, whatever it's worth, is we have a few options. Like one, it's always a matter of just trying to figure out who will actually listen to us and through what mechanisms. I think that we've made it clear in any case, just as individuals, it's probably helpful to just add to the numbers of thoughts in the system. And if they happen to align that, is just greater numbers, we'll see what that leads to. In terms of like a formally voted upon letter or resolution, like we're not prepared to have something that's detailed tonight. So we weren't prepared to have something in general. And it might even if it would get great weight, not necessarily going to do anything about it because a lot of agencies break the law and don't actually do great weight. So it might not be worth the effort for something, especially last minute. One thing we could do is put together a letter that is not voted upon tonight that anyone is free to sign on to, and even make a point saying the reason that we didn't sign on to this or vote on to this is because of the inadequacies of the project that WMATA chose, that we weren't able to find a timeline that treated our constituents with the dignity that we think is fair. And if anyone puts their name onto that, that's just a question if anyone's willing to put the work in towards that in the next 4 days. So if not, it's understandable. And I think that the getting on to the portal and submitting things is one, accessible to everyone and probably a more efficient use of time. In an ideal world, I think we would have something that we could vote upon and submit, but I don't know if we're in an ideal situation, so we got to kind of work with it. And we might be able to get the same impact in any case, which hopefully is change. It might just be getting ignored regardless. So I don't know, but we've got to try. So those are my thoughts. Anyone have any similar or contradicting comments? That's a long way for me to say I don't have any motion at the moment, but I'm willing to have my mind changed if someone has a strong argument for a different course of action.
It sounds right to me. I'm happy to just throw some of the bullets that I threw together for Anne into a doc. Folks can add in other sections if they want, especially around kind of the inadequacy of the process. I think we should also put something in there about the fact that Adams Morgan wasn't even included as neighborhood in the bus design, because that we have 80% of the folks in our neighborhood don't own vehicles. They don't use a car as a primary form of transportation. It's just absolutely batshit that they are not taking the ridership from 36,000 people in the neighborhood. Seriously, it's totally nuts. So I definitely want to add something in there about that as well. And then I can add some bullets about the specific inadequacies for the neighborhood that are problematic about the design.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. It makes it easier so we don't have to necessarily agree. If you don't like it, just don't put your name on it. And another thing that we could probably discuss offline, not really like union or excuse me, meeting specific, but we could try to find an agreeable member of the press that does transportation beat to see if they would want to cover this as a story, because it does seem important and that could maybe give some exposure that we can't necessarily give, which is to say that we're a dense, relatively urbanist neighborhood that has, from what we can tell, been overlooked in this really big project, and that's really important for a number of reasons. So we're on a shortish time frame, but I don't know. It seems like a few of us are on the same page of taking more informal as opposed to formal action. Any other thoughts? This has been helpful discussion in any case. So I guess that leaves it. If there's no motion on the floor, we will conclude that. Oh, I guess I'll give an opportunity for attendees. Any last thoughts on this matter? Raise your hand, please. It seems not. Appreciate those that commented in the comment section or the chat section. Commissioner Jones, were you about to say something?
No, I thought you were making a motion.
The motion is no motion. So well, I guess we'll just kind of separately from this meeting, just on our individual capacity as commissioners over the next few days, try to get some sort of sign-on letter from our commission that is not voted upon, and we'll make it clear that we deliberately didn't vote because we felt the process was inadequate to adequately or sufficiently represent our constituents' needs, because Wilmette chose not to engage with us and also did not acknowledge us as a neighborhood in their plans. And I think that we're a pretty central neighborhood among others to what DC is. So hopefully they'll be receptive. But barring any, I guess, last minute motion, that will be our course of action. And hopefully goes well, because this is one of the few transportation issues I've heard, I think, legitimate reasons to obstruct. And I would like to continue that because a lot of people depend on public transit, and seems like collectively that's something that we prioritize. So hopefully we can make a difference. Last thoughts, anyone? Made it through. We might have some committee meetings this meeting, depending how agendas shape up. In any case, we'll see each other in September for next general ANC 1C meeting. Have a nice recess. Probably talk in the meantime. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.